finding talent is extremely hard. So there's a talent gap. But also retaining that talent is really important. And so we talk about things like loyalty. That's something that obviously military people tend to hold near and dear. So really, this is something that is resonating with the companies that we're talking to about really this untapped resources. But it's also to help veterans themselves. A lot of people don't think this is an option for them. They're not technical. They didn't go to school for it. They use a computer, but they don't really know how it works behind the scenes. And this is really our opportunity to teach you that don't be scared. If it's just of interest, it's something you can definitely get into. And even in my own private sector companies, we've had people retool their career that were nothing to do with technology that have gone through the Lighthouse Labs program and are very successful members of my software company. And so the other thing is, the pay is good, the culture is great in technology. There's a lot of benefits here that we want to help, veterans really understand that this is an option for them, and one that could really help not only them prosper, but also Ontario as a whole. And that's why we partnered with the Government of Canada, the Government of Ontario, because we are actually known, sort of what they called Tech Alley here between Waterloo, is also known as Silicon Valley North. We actually have 50% of the total number of technologists that Silicon Valley has, and we're actually outpacing them in growth. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and we'll cover on some of those today. So a little bit of the foundation is obviously, when I came out, it was a little bit of a lackluster fanfare. I found it a kind of weird thing of being in, and then all of a sudden, doing my physical, signing my papers, and being out. I wouldn't say it's maybe as traumatic as some other people's who, were full-time the whole time. And then, whether they were, just honorably discharged or medically discharged or whatever it may be, even that transition can be really hard. I've seen it firsthand. But then we deal with all the other components of it, from, what makes the front lines like PTSD to just economics and families and, transitioning into civilian life. And really what I wanted to do was, build a foundation that really helped veterans and their families with that transition to civilian life in a much more supportive way. And so there's two sides to it. This is the technology side. So if you think about left brain, right brain, we also have arts, basically an arts academy that we've also developed to put a play on in November of last year when we all could be together. And so we're using the arts as one side, and you could think that is therapeutic, as well as there's great opportunities. And with all the movies being shot, veterans are actually something that they're in high demand. So finding career paths outside the military in things like the arts is one side, and then the other side is what we're going to talk about today, which is technology. So the other part of your brain. So whether you're left or right brain, we have a program that will match that. And who's to say you can't do both, by the way? If maybe you're ambidextrous. So I will let Alex describe Lighthouse Lab, which is a great organization that we partnered with. But go ahead, Alex.
Thanks, Roland. So first of all, it's nice to see so many of you here today. I know I've been emailing with many of you back and forth, and some of you are already joining us for our group interview next week. So it's nice to see you here. So just to tell you a little bit more about Lighthouse Labs. So we are a technical education institution with a focus on data science and web development. For a little bit of history, Lighthouse was founded in 2013 in Vancouver by a group of developers who were looking at this vast technical talent gap in Canada and thought that there had to be a better way to quickly train people to become developers. So since then, we've graduated over 2,000 developers into the Canadian market. We've exposed over 20,000 Canadians to the basics of code and computational thinking. So we're really involved in the Canadian community, and we're excited to be part of this program. So I'll just dive into the next slide. So there are four main parts of this program. So the first is technical training. So that's training in both front end and back end development. There is final projects. So you're going to be presenting your final projects to employers via our employer only demo day and our public demo day. So you'll actually have lots of developer and software projects to put on your portfolio by the end of the program. There's also career services and wellness support. The one thing that I really want to reiterate is that this program is designed for beginners. So the goal of the program is to transform you into a professional developer. So you're going to come to understand coding logic using popular languages and frameworks like JavaScript and Ruby on Rails, while also learning how to think like a developer by building software from the ground up. So this is just a simple timeline of exactly what the 12 weeks entail. So I just want to point out that before the program even begins, there is prep work that you will be asked to do. It's around 40 to 60 hours of work that you can totally do on your own time, whenever it suits you. So week 1 and week 2 are computer science fundamentals. Weeks 3 through 5, we're diving into backend, so looking at servers, cookies, HTTP, and data structures. We're looking at front end, so HTML and CSS, SAS, Ajax responsive design. That's the week 4. And then week 5 is databases, so SQL and Postgres. In week 6, you've got a midterm project. So this is the first time you're going to be working with other students in your cohort to be building a restaurant takeaway app. And then week 7 and 8 is React. If any of you are familiar with, developer jobs or have any friends who are software developers, you'll know that React is probably the most in-demand skill right now for Canadian employers. So we dedicate 2 full weeks to that. And then we have 2 full weeks as well with Ruby and Ruby on Rails. And then finally, the last 2 weeks of the program, you'll be working on your final projects and getting ready to present those in groups. So what will you be able to create? So our curriculum was created to simulate a real developer's job environment. So you're going to be exposed to industry relevant technologies and then immediately reinforce that knowledge by building applications and completing daily programming projects. So we're going to be introducing paired programming pretty much from week 2 in order to expose you to looking at other people's code. You're going to be learning the basics of sort of developer problem solving and debugging, which is definitely the most important skill to acquire and practice as a developer. The goal is really to get you as job ready as quickly as possible. So most of the learning you'll do is in the year after boot camp on the job. But for now, we want to make sure that you have the portfolio to show for it. So there's, in addition to the daily projects, there are also larger weekly projects, which you will commit to your GitHub, which will act as your portfolio when you start looking for work. Okay, so there are 5 main points that I want to point out just about the technical training. So the first is that it's extremely hands-on. There are only 2 hours of lecture per day. The rest is hands-on keyboard, just coding away on those projects that I was talking about. And the reason for that is we have built a project-based curriculum. So as I said, you're going to be developing mini apps and working on projects throughout the whole 12 weeks. We have a lot of mentor help as well in this program. So you're going to have on-demand access to mentors, which are essentially teaching assistants for 8 hours a day. The reason for this is that our program is really, really fast-paced. So you are looking at 10 to 12 hours a day of work, including that 60 hours of prep work. So those mentors are there just to make sure that you don't get too stuck, especially if you're just missing, some syntax here or there. So anytime you have a question, what you can do is just go ahead and there's a little button in our learning management system that says request assistance. So you'll just click that and then a mentor will be there within 15 to 20 minutes to be able to help talk you through your solution to your problem. And finally, I want to reiterate that the program is entirely online. So it's fully remote mentorship, lectures, and student engagement. We will be asking that you have your camera on for lectures, so it does feel like a little bit of a classroom environment. But yes, for right now, the program is entirely online. Next slide, please.
I unmuted by myself. There we go. The great thing about this program is it's very similar to a regular military day, especially when we did classroom and lecture and work and stuff like that. So yes, it's a 10-hour day, but it's a relatively fast one. And the nice thing is it's a very compressed course, right? So you're talking about 12 weeks, and then you're fully employable as a junior developer. So the nice thing is that the runway here is very, very short, to a point where you can get, kind of lift off here. So it's intense, but not too crazy. And for most military people, this is a regular day. So you're working a regular day with a regular sort of output, with a 12-week return on investment.
So, we like to include this slide because a lot of people say, oh my gosh, 12 hours a day for 12 weeks, this is a lot of work, but we promise you the outcomes are worth it. For the last 6 years or 7 years now, actually, Lighthouse has seen an employment rate of 93% within 120 days of graduation in a fully paid junior developer role. The salary is actually, I think it's 53,000 now, but that's the first salary we see post boot camp. And Roland would be able to tell you as well that a good developer makes anywhere from $80,000 up within a year or two of working at a company.
Yeah, and I can tell you, there's not a single developer that makes that at my organization, even the juniors. So there's obviously a lot of upside to this as well, which is great, right? So,
Yeah.
oh, wait. There we go. Sorry.
No problem. My last slide, and then you can go ahead. But so the career services is the last thing I want to talk about, because it is a fairly large part of this program. So at Lighthouse, our guiding belief is that most of your training will be learned on the job, as I said, and that your first year working as a software developer can be seen as paid, highly intensive training. So the main function of our career services portion is to help you land your job as a developer. So behind the scenes, our career services team will be sending your resume out and promoting you to employers any chance that they get. They're going to help with scheduling and following up with interviews on your behalf. And starting in week 5, actually, they're going to be hosting workshops like, resume writing workshops, resume reviews, technical interviews. So that starts really early on in the program. And they're also there to provide support. So advice for situations around things like networking, relocation, and salary negotiation.
The other thing too is, what wasn't mentioned in the partner list, is actually Bank of Montreal is a partner. They were actually in our agreement, that they will sort of give us first. They have a military first approach. They are also the bank of the government of Canada and the military, and so they're actually going to give our candidates sort of first dibs, for the non-technical way of doing it, on all those roles. And if there's a fit, put a military person in first before civilians. We really like that approach. We'd love more organizations to adopt it. We are also having conversations with other major organizations around the same or similar approaches. So in conjunction with just the foundation work and partnering with these organizations, Lighthouse has an already well-established career services. So this actually should be a force multiplier for our candidates coming out of the program. So yeah, there's a lot of support even in the regular program. We've layered another layer of support, and it can vary. So we will customize it by person as we get to know each one of you. Everybody is a different person and has different needs. So we will have a mentor from the foundation or foundation partners. We have 2 generals that are involved in the foundation. We've got 2 doctors that will also help out. So we want to make sure that physically, mentally, emotionally, everybody is in good shape. And if you do need any assistance, those services are there for you. So we're going to check in and everything's good, no problem. But hopefully with a type of relation, if you are struggling and stuff like that, we'll have people that can hopefully assist you in a multitude of ways to ensure that you are in tip-top shape to come out of this very successful and gain employment extremely quickly. So there's a lot of support here built into this. And we wanted to make sure that it was also customized. So it's not a one size fits all. We'll get to know each of you and make sure that you've got what you need. Some people need very little, like leave me alone, I just want to bang through this. And other people may require a lot more, and we'll just customize that to each individual person. And obviously anything that's talked about is confidential. We will make sure that we tailor to everybody's one-on-one needs. Eligibility. There are a lot. There's other programs out there. I've heard the feedbacks from colleagues and people that I know around other programs, and we're trying to avoid the pitfalls. Hopefully we do. But again, we are always looking for feedback. So if you do know something that in our approach that could be fixed, please be vocal with us and share with Jen and I that feedback, and we will incorporate it. But essentially, you just have to have military service. We don't care if it's part-time, full-time. You start in the regs, end up in the reserves. That all doesn't matter as long as you served. So that's what it is, and that you want to pursue a career in tech. So we do a sort of pre-interview type thing just to make sure that you know what the expectations are. But it's that simple. We're trying to make it so that anybody who has a passion to do this, we're going to help you achieve that goal. And so it's quite simple. And then essentially there's two pieces to it, which I'll let Alex walk through. But I don't want this to seem like a gating system or that there's a barrier to entry. We really just want people who have a passion and interest for this to apply and get accepted and to go through the program.
Okay, so this is the application process. I know some of you have gone through this already, but you're going to be filling out an online application form, which Jen will follow up with all of you with. After you complete that application form, you'll hear from me, and we'll be scheduling you into a group interview with us at Lighthouse. I'll be the person in that interview, and all we're doing is just giving you an opportunity to ask us further questions, and we're going to just ask you also, what you're hoping to get out of the program. And then after that, there will be a technical interview. The purpose of that interview is to give you the opportunity to play with code and specifically JavaScript if you haven't had the chance yet, just to make sure that this is really something that you want to do and that you have an interest in. Once that's done, you'll have a quick convo with Roland, and you'll be accepted into the program.
And just to talk a little bit about this and just taking feedback from other sessions is that the value of this program, if you were to come up off the street and go to Lighthouse Labs, the cost is about $15,000 per student. The foundation in Lighthouse Labs and the government of Ontario is covering that cost completely for you. And so obviously that's a direct value, as well as obviously the career services. By the way, the career services are really never ending with Lighthouse. It's not a one and done. It is an ongoing network that they've created, which is quite phenomenal. And thus they have their hands and communication with a lot of people who require tech people. The other side of it is we are going to provide, we know that not everybody could get a laptop. So a partner of mine, Best Buy, is the supplier of the laptop. So we will be buying them from them. We will be providing you the laptop. If you complete the course successfully and graduate, we will gift the laptop to you. And so you will be able to take that, onto your career and use that as your personal laptop to continue your learning going forward. If you don't finish, we'd ask that you obviously return it so we can give it to another student to do that. Our expectation is to have a zero dropout rate, but things do happen in people's lives. I recently had a friend that was in the service that had a personal tragedy that then couldn't go for the first cohort. So now he's considering signing up for a second one. So we do know life does get in the way. But really the value, if you look at combined thing, is about $17,000 worth of value that we're covering completely on your behalf. So it's a huge opportunity. Plus, of course, then there's the career opportunity. So we're glad everybody joined. And it sounds like many of these people are already kind of down the process. So we're very excited to have you aboard. And I'm going to get the personal pleasure of speaking to each of you individually, which I've been looking forward to. So in that's a conclusion of our presentation today, and I wanted to open up to the floor to see if any of you had any questions for us.
No questions?
All right.